With little ceremony, the stone that was only recently inserted in the top corner of the slab with the English text on the Georgia guide stones was removed again, supposedly unauthorized, thrown down and cut to pieces. I believe, however, that there is a purpose to all of this, as well as to the seemingly amateuristic video that showed the whole thing. Whoever filmed it made sure we could see every side of the cube. One of the first things that catches the attention is the fact that there are other inscriptions apart from the 20 and 14 that were initially visible. We also find the numbers 8 and 16, as well as the letter combinations MM and JAM. Before we could only read the year 2014. Now, after decoding, we can find an exact date. The cube was tossed down like a dice, and this brought me to the idea of understanding the code. A characteristic of a dice is that the dots on opposite sides always add up to 7. 5 plus 2, 3 plus 4 and 6 plus 1. Likewise, it are the opposite sides that match up in the 2014 cube. If we assume that the MM side is the top and we view it from that side, we can display the 4 adjacent sides around it. This is the diagram we use. And now we simply add the numbers in the opposite sides. 8 plus 20 is 28. 14 plus 16 is 30. As is customary in numerology, we keep adding the digits until a single digit number is left, except for 10, which is a pure number and stays as it is. 28 now becomes 2 plus 8 is 10, and 30, 3 plus 0 is 3. We now derive the numbers 10 and 3. Likewise, we add the top and bottom. Here, letters are used and we need to translate them to numbers. This is easy. Letters are numbered according to the alphabet. A is 1, B is 2, etc. Thus, MM is 13 plus 13, or 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 equals 8. JAM is 10 plus 1 plus 13, or 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 equals 6. We now add the 8 and the 6 and we get 14. The three numbers we get are 10, 3 and 14. I believe a date being October 3, 2014. I am not going to speculate what could happen on that date, but it is likely that it has everything to do with the start of the New World Order plan as laid out on the guide stones. This is driven by dark forces, and one of the things they need to do for their events to become rituals is reveal them in advance. This is also called lesser magic. All this might very well be part of this lesser magic. The occult uses numerology often, and this goes into extremes. I will show you that there is much more to the coding than that which we have just seen. In this diagram, I have added the numbers in the neighboring sides and written the results in the squares on the respective corners. Again, I have added the single digits and written those results in the circles. For example, the 34 on the top right corner is the sum of 14 and 20. The digits 3 and 4 add up to 7. Now we add the opposites again, but in this case diagonally, the numbers in the circles. So the 6 and the 7 add up to 13, and the 4 and the 9 also add up to 13. The 2 times 13 are represented by the M and M, thus showing a perfect relation between all the numbers and letters. You might explain this away as a coincidence, but I'll show you that the very same applies to the bottom side. Since this is the reverse side, we have to use a reverse method. So we will subtract instead of add, and we don't add single digits, but we split them up. The total of all the numbers and letters is 108, which can be translated in either 18 or 9. Whichever you choose, in occult numerology both are the replacement for 666. This brings us to the deeper spiritual battle that is going on and of which this is part. I believe the removal of the stone was very well planned, as well as the filming of it. It seems almost ridiculous the way it was removed, thrown down and then cut to pieces and divided among the bystanders. The latter, by the way, seemed to be completely uninterested in the meaning and origin of the cube. Unrealistic. The ignorant sheeple, the controlling elite so much desires. Just a side note, the man who removed the stone asks, "Who wants a chip?" This could be interpreted otherwise and may be a hint to the implantable chip which the people will probably wish for just as eagerly. The man acts as a literal mason with his hammer, but most likely shows symbolically who is behind all this. Let's also not forget that the cube has the inscription MM, Master Mason. He's also kneeling on his left knee, an unnatural position for someone who is right-handed, and has the stone he is chiseling in front of his foot. However, it's the exact position an entered apprentice has when taking the Masonic oath. The right leg forming the square and the left hand supporting the Bible, in this case represented by the stone. The stone was never meant to be there for a long time. Just long enough to get our attention. No glue or cement had been applied, of which the man who removed the stone apparently was very well aware. He went up the ladder without tools and without hesitation lifted the stone out right away. He stated that it was unauthorized. And he also mentions in the video that, quote, "We have the original piece," showing that he was very well aware or even present at the removal of this original piece, and possibly at the placing of the unauthorized cornerstone. Seems to me a very well orchestrated symbolic repetition of the rejection of the cornerstone. In Psalm 188 verse 22 and 1 Peter 2 verse 7 we read, "The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone." Even in some Bible translations, this cornerstone has been replaced. The New International Version renders the above verse as follows: "The stone the builders rejected has become the capstone." Hasn't this been the plan all along of the secret societies, inspired by Satan himself, to dethrone Jesus Christ, the cornerstone, and replace him with the Antichrist, the capstone? Heads up for the 3rd of October, and above all, let's keep our eyes and hearts on the true stone. After all, he will have the last word. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth.